Hi, welcome to Barb's Kitchen Center. My name's Celeste and welcome to our third in the series of videos on quick breads in Celeste's Test Kitchen. This video will be about scones. I hope you give them all a try and I hope you enjoy them all. We'd love to hear your comments. So for buttermilk scones, you are going to want to combine your dry ingredients. The first of which would be 3 cups of flour. Again, I am fully aware that this is a wet measure, but I did measure it with a dry measure, and it is indeed 3 cups of all-purpose flour. And I have made scones with pastry flour, and they do turn out very light, which is lovely. However, it's not a texture people are familiar with, so it doesn't strike them as a good scone because you haven't used the flour that people are most familiar with. Next, we'll add our 1/4 cup of sugar. And a scone is the same as a biscuit, but has more sugar in it, so it's more desserty. We have our salt, baking soda, baking powder, and we will just combine it to make sure it's evenly dispersed, because when the liquid hits, you don't want one side of it to start rising and not the other. And then again, with a scone or a biscuit, it's a little bit like a puff pastry, so you want that lamination in it. So the colder your butter is and all your wet ingredients, the better off you are, because then when it hits the oven, it'll all start to melt out nice and be yummy. So I pre-grated and froze my butter. I like that. It was, and if you're going to grate your butter, as a lot of, if you're doing a laminated dough, a lot of recipes will ask you to grate your butter cold. Make sure your butter is cold, or you just get like a gooey mess. So even frozen, it grates super well frozen. If you're doing pie crust, this is another fabulous way to, if you're not using lard, this is a fabulous way to ensure that you have that nice cold dough. And it does actually pop out of here way easier than I would have anticipated. And come on, last little bit. And because I knew some of it would stick, I did grate a little extra in, so I'm not going to lose my mind too much about the stuff that's stuck to the bowl. Yeah. Put the splash ring on so we avoid the puff. Like the onion cake, you're looking for that pea meal consistency again. And there we go. It's evenly distributed throughout. It's pea meal-ish. And last but not least, again, okay, this is buttermilk, but it's not buttermilk I got out of the fridge. We sell powdered buttermilk, and no recipe ever calls for an entire liter of buttermilk. So you go out, you buy buttermilk, it dies in the fridge, it smells disgusting. Nobody but your grandpa wants to drink it. So, powdered buttermilk. Awesome. All right, and again, this is just mix until it's combined and everything's a bit damp. Hate it when it does that. There we go. There we go. Everything's damp, and now it's really pea mealy. And I'm sorry, Tony, I have to move it to mix it. So we'll get out. My cutting board. Cameramen are so finicky. All right, and I just need a wee bit of flour on my board, which, sorry? Yeah, yes. Is that okay? Are we fine? All right, I'll just put a little flour on my board. so it doesn't stick. And I will grab the sheet I'm going to bake these on. There we go. They shouldn't spread, so I can use an actual cookie sheet. An actual cookie sheet is for making cookies and it has no sides. What we call a cookie sheet is actually a sheet pan for making a sheet cake. All right. So it is very cold. It is very crumbly, which is what you want. At this point, you could add, if you wanted cranberries or raisins or ginger or nuts, you could add chocolate chips. Some people like that. I'm not a fan of chocolate chips in my scones, but
Dried fruit.
yeah, dried fruit would be lovely. Because it is so cold and so pea mealy, I am just going to take out half of it instead of taking it out and dividing it in half. I will let it stick to me. Is that about a little more? There we go. You could roll it out if you wanted and make it, all pretty and put it into a pretty pan. But you really, if you want a more organic looking biscuit, you can just form it into a rough circle, probably inch and a half, inch high, a little less, 3/4 of an inch. And there we go. Stay there. It will consolidate in the oven a little more as the butter starts to melt out and be yummy. So let me get this off my hands. Stay. Right. Coconut is also lovely in these. Coconut and cranberry. Awesome. All right, I will spray my pan here. With all that butter, it shouldn't stick, but just in case. And then, okay, I'm going to move the mixer again, Tony. Don't lose your mind, I promise. It's the last time. There we go. Caught in the drawer. There we go. So we will put our, pat it out just a wee bit flatter. And did they? They did not. Okay, I will use the back of my knife. I'm not using the sharp side. I'm using the dull side just to mark it so that when we take it out of the oven, we'll know how to break it up.
And you break yours, don't cut it.
Sorry?
You break it, not cut it.
You can cut it, but if you make a mistake this way, you can put it all back together.
Yeah.
And then we'll put this on the baking sheet. Put this side back. There we go. We'll take out the rest. Probably don't really need this extra flour because it's still pretty. And this one's going to be, because it's just sat there for a few minutes longer, it is a little softer because the butter that was grated is now softened up a little more. Get all the good stuff off the side of the pan. And you can tell it's sticking to my fingers a little more. And I'll flip it all over. People with hot hands tend not to make good biscuits. Ask anybody, I do not have hot hands. Yeah. A lot of people, I know people who will actually stick their hands in ice water before they do this. Yeah. And they don't make them anymore, but if you ever are in a secondhand shopping and you run across a glass rolling pin.
Oh, because you can put ice in it?
Yeah, you put ice water in it, and that's what you use for rolling out things like scones or pie. They're good, and that's what I use, and that's what's replaced the glass rolling pin. But the glass rolling pin, you can get like ice cold water that will stay cool a lot longer than your marble rolling pin. So, and I don't know why they don't make them. I'd buy them, but
I own a store. Trust me, I've looked. I go to buying shows, I ask, and everybody looks at me like I'm from Mars. So we'll score this one. We will get it onto the pan. Little bits flying everywhere. You could make a mini one if you wanted out of this, or I'll just, because it's mostly, there we go. And because I have my oven on convection, I'm going to stick the scones in on the lower rack. 450 is optimal for doing these, but 350 won't kill them. So, but what I am going to do is to make them nice and golden brown, I'm going to brush them with a little heavy cream, because no one's ever mad about heavy cream. And this is just like doing an egg wash on them, except they're scones and it's cream. It's good. I had never heard of it. We stayed at a bed and breakfast in Vancouver, and this is what they did to theirs, and they were phenomenal. And there we go. Everyone into the pool. Voila, now it's just wait and see. And next out of the oven are scones. They are nice and golden brown. I will cut along the score lines. And sorry, Kathy, I need to get 3 more plates. So if you want to on these, you can put a little sugar just to fancy them up. And this is pearl sugar, which does not ironically look like pearls. It looks like more like little pieces of rock or a very, very coarse salt, but it is indeed sugar. And this would be lovely with a spot of jam. Go. Awesome. There you go, Tony. Awesome. And there you go. There's your quick breads.
Awesome.
Hi, I hope you've enjoyed this series. If you'd like to see others, please drop us a comment in the comments below. And we will try very hard to accommodate your requests. Thanks for joining us.